We are live on Touching Greatness, the podcast. I'm Ted Sobel, your host. And, it's the first time we've done an LPGA show. And I've been slightly overdue, and I apologize to our guest, Muni. We want to call her Lily, if that's okay. Simi Valley resident, still living out there. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, my parents are out in like the Moore Park area. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, I watched the video today that you made a few years ago with
Mhm.
a nice little driving range and a little area to just hit a few balls around in your backyard. When did that start? And I'm gonna show some pictures of that shortly here.
Mhm. Yeah, I think well, we started quite a few years ago now when we first moved out here from San Diego. I think that's like the luxury about, living a bit further out from the city, and it's all my dad.
Oh,
My dad,
really?
yeah, he doesn't play at any golf club or anything like that, but this is kind of this was his idea. So actually when we moved here, that was already a football field built by the
Oh,
owner who had lived here and built the house. So,
great.
we really just built on top of that because none of us here play football, but we thought it would be a pretty great idea to put in a little short game area. And yeah,
Yeah.
it's been so wonderful. It's a hit for sure with all of our friends and families that come and visit.
Okay. Well, I'm going to ask for an invite sometime because I love your driving range that you hit into nowhere, right?
Yeah, exactly. The only downside of that driving range is you have to go and hand pick all the golf balls. Yeah. Just watch out for the rattlesnakes.
Okay, so oh no, that's a whole different story then. I might not come. Hey, but what about like how do you do the gardening out there? You have to have a special greenskeeper and all that, right?
No, it's turf. So,
Oh,
you don't need to
okay.
water it. You don't need
Okay.
to maintain it. It's relatively easy. Um, yeah, but it's designed to be receptive enough to try to simulate the real green as much as possible. But it's always different. You can't really get the exact same feel as like
Of
real
course.
grass, but it's fairly good. It's good fun to just play on and
Right.
run around with my dogs.
But I assume that you stay away from too much putting though, right? Because it'll probably give you bad habits on not a real green or no.
Um, it's actually better than you would imagine,
Oh, okay.
but I would say it's not exactly like putting on a real green,
Of
but it's
course.
good for things like practicing your stroke and things like that. It's not too bad. But yeah,
Good.
I would like to be out there more, but unfortunately, I still prefer being out at the golf course.
I got it. So Mooney, he is a sponsor's invite this week. So tell us how that works for the average person who follows golf and they just say, "Hey, you're in the field." How did that happen?
Yeah, so how works is every LPGA event has two sponsor invites. So it can be anyone who's not in the field by ranking. And for me this year, I have conditional status on the LPGA. So there's three reshuffles on the LPGA. Anyone who's ranked outside of the top 100 from the previous year can be reshuffled through your current year rankings. So let's say if you Monday qualify into a tournament and you do well, then for the next reshuffle, you can actually reshuffle up to closer to the top 100 or inside the top 100. So that way, you would be able to play all the events instead of, let's say, only one or two at the beginning of the year.
Okay.
So I've been lucky enough to where this year I've already competed in a few events, and a few of them did count towards um, the ranking system. So hopefully after the reshuffle, I'll be, ranked higher up to where I can play all the events. But obviously, having an opportunity like this is really, really huge for me, and I'm really grateful for it. It just means I have another chance to pretty much be able to play all the events throughout the year, like after
Good.
the first reshuffle. But yeah, I went to USC for 2 semesters, and
Yeah.
I grew up playing at Wilshire Country Club because of USC. and I'm also an honorary member at Wilshire. So
Nice.
I'm out there all the time, and it's I feel really grateful that Wilshire and um pretty much has helped me to secure this sponsor invite for this year.
Okay, so Advantage Lily and a few of your other former Trojans out there, right? I know I spoke to Allison Corpus a couple weeks ago at Media Day, and she says she's a member out there and has probably played it several 100,000 times, right? So, what kind of advantage does that give you guys? Because you really get, you know, the greens, you know, the places not to hit it, which is more important than almost anything, right?
Yeah, it's definitely helpful just because Wilshire is such of a quirky course. It's got a lot of unusual little quirks that takes a while to get used to. So it for sure is helpful, but tournament week comes around, the green speed and how the course plays, the conditions are really different to how we normally play. So what it's usually like throughout the year. So it's there's still some things you gotta get used to, and also because it is just a challenging week, you do have to play good golf. So knowledge, I think, is one thing, but
Yeah.
also, just hoping that your game is on is at its best form pretty much coming into the week because it's not easy out there.
Yeah, well, what are the biggest challenges at Wilshire? I know you got small greens. It's old school LA, a little similar to Riviera in that respect. Narrow fairways. It's shorter, but does that make it a target course for the players?
Um, I wouldn't say so. I think if you're
Okay,
really after it, it definitely helps a lot because Wilshire is a place where if you're having a bad ball striking day, it's pretty difficult um to have a good day out there. The greens
okay,
are super challenging. It's very sloped, very undulated. So if you're above the pin on majority of the holes, you're gonna have you're defending on your way down. You're not really
right,
thinking about making the birdie putt, even if it's only 4 or 5 feet. You would want to make it, but if you miss the cup, you most likely have the same distance, if not more, coming back up.
right.
It can get very, very quick. And again, I think on the approach shot, if you miss it in the wrong spot, you can get some really nasty and quirky kicks.
Yeah,
And then you can short side yourself, which on these greens, they can be firm and fast. So it's not the easiest. And
yeah,
then on certain days, the wind comes into play as well in the afternoon, especially you wouldn't think because it's so much more like into the city compared to some of the other golf courses, but it can still pick up that breeze in the afternoon from the ocean and it can get quite cold and windy. Yeah.
yeah. I looked at the weather forecast. It looks like wind shouldn't be too much of a factor, but it does tend to pick up in the late in the afternoon almost every day anyway. A little bit, right?
Yeah, it does. And there definitely are a few holes that where you're playing straight into the wind and you're gonna be looking at actually a 5 wood or 3 wood into the green. Um, so some of the holes are a bit shorter, but there are definitely a few longer holes as well.
Yeah, what about finishing with a par 3? That's not the norm, but you guys do it here. I guess they turn it around because 18 is usually 9, is that correct? During the regular for the members.
Yes. I think it's the number 17 is actually 18 as a
Oh,
finishing hole,
okay. Gotcha.
but you can't really put a grandstand because it's surrounded
Exactly.
by water
Yeah.
or it's surrounded by a creek. So I think they've swapped it out with number 10.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I played the course a couple weeks ago. They invited me for a media day, and I didn't do that well. I don't play too much, but I got a nice par on the last 18 on the par 3, putting it into the sand, a good chip, and then a 15-foot par putt, and I'm done. Okay, so what is it that you look forward to doing? Because I know the Sundays out there, they put that pin way over in the back right corner, and that is not the easiest shot. That's a pretty long shot to get it close, isn't it?
It for sure is. That's a really tricky hole, especially with that back pin. I
Yeah.
mean, if you miss it on that left side, if you know, on that left side, you're pretty much dead. It's just
Yes.
not. There's a lot of places where you can short sight yourself,
Yeah.
and I've definitely experienced that in the past playing this event. I believe it was 2 or 3 years ago. I had actually 3 really solid days, and I believe I was top 10 or top 15 going into the final day. And
Oh,
I think the tricky pin positions on Sunday definitely got the best of me, and I found myself in really tricky positions all the time, and I did not have a good last day. So
all
lesson
right.
learned. Yeah, I'm for sure gonna be playing a bit more safe on pins where, you know, they're trying to trick you.
Okay, well, we'll be following you on Sunday this time. That's
Yeah,
for sure.
thank
Okay,
you.
a little more background on Lily as far as you were born in China. I got a great chance to play. I think it's 14 years ago with a woman I'm sure you're very, very familiar with. Do you know this lady at all?
Of course, Shan.
Exactly. I got to play with her, and that's Tommy Thayer, who's the lead guitarist for the group Kiss.
Oh wow.
And we played in the. I used to be the 18th green announcer at the Kraft Nabisco, uh, and I don't think you ever played in that, did you?
Craft Nabisco. No, I don't believe I have. I believe by the time I got on tour, that
Yeah,
tournament might have been gone already.
yeah. Well, they're now the Chevron. You know,
Yes.
so you can't jump into Poppy's Pond anymore. But Miss Nellie Corda jumped into that big, huge lake
I
a
know.
couple of days ago. What is going through your mind watching her win 5 in a row? Something that's only been done twice on this tour.
My gosh, it's so impressive. It really is. I don't think people realize like just how impressive that is. Um, you know, I've known Nelly since junior golf. We played together since junior golf, and to see how it was almost as if she was born to do this, you know? Like, I remember back in junior golf days, everyone would be talking about, oh, what college are you going to go to? What schools are you looking at? And just always remember Nelly was very, very focused on playing professional golf. And I know she comes from an incredibly talented family.
Yeah.
So I think they just have a different mentality. And you can tell by watching her compete these past few years and seeing her like before the tournament, she's so focused and dialed in. And I think that's the type of mentality you need in order to win 5 in a row on
Yeah.
tour. So
So
it's
how what do
incredible.
you learn from that though? To watch her, is there anything that stands out like from an attitude? I mean, she has incredible patience and she never seems to get too high or low, and that helps always in this game.
Yeah, exactly. She just seems very much so like in her own world, like at her own pace. And
Yeah.
I think that's very important. She doesn't seem like she gets easily affected by any external factors because it's golf and sometimes you tend to get affected by everything around you by the day, the weather, or whoever you're playing with can make a difference to how you feel about your game that day or your tempo.
Right.
But I don't think she gets affected by anything of that sort. So it's really incredible to see. And, she just, her tempo is really great. Whenever I play with her, it always reminds me to, slow down.
That's
Like,
good.
yeah, relax.
That helps right there, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
By the way, Arnold Palmer once told me a long time ago, and for those people around your age in your mid 20s or less, I know most people think of Arnold Palmer now as just a drink, but he actually was a great golfer. And he told me once, Ted, you know what? It's really important to smile while you're playing, even if you're not playing great. It's like you can't cry and laugh at the same time. So smiling actually puts you into a decent mood, and if you could force it, even sometimes it helps. What do you think of that?
No, I completely agree. I work with Lynn and Pia from Vision 54,
Nice.
and we always talk about how important body language is. Like, even when you don't feel confident or you don't feel happy, your brain actually cannot tell like what's real and what's not real.
Right.
So when you walk towards the ball, and I know it's a bit silly, but if you smile at the ball,
Yes.
your brain gets tricked into thinking like more positive feelings and feeling more positive even though you might be really nervous or you might be not playing so well. It's actually a really good way to change the momentum and to be positive even if you're not,
Okay.
because your brain doesn't doesn't really know what's real and what's not real.
Right. What am I supposed to do when the ball laughs at me, though? That's not that makes it a little more difficult.
I feel like the ball shouldn't be laughing at you.
Well,
That'd be even
it
worse
maybe
though.
it's laughing at my swing and not just me personally, so I don't take it personally. Uh, it's a loss this week that, unfortunately, Nelly had to withdraw, and we lose Lily Avu as well, another local favorite. Um, it to me, it's such a disappointment, but you totally understand with Nelly. I mean, I don't know how she could have held it together for 5 straight tournaments like that.
No, I mean most players, if they win a tournament, they withdraw the next week.
Exactly.
So it's really impressive that she has done it for, however many weeks in a row now. And in order to perform at that level and to win week after week, it's not easy. It's really special. And I think the toll that traveling and competing takes on us, like you don't actually realize it until sometimes like after the week is done. Or,
Right.
you start to feel it, but because you're so high on adrenaline and you're so focused on your performance, like you're not fully aware of how much it actually takes out on your body.
Right.
So, playing too much can definitely lead to injuries and things like that. So even though she's playing very well, I think it's very I believe she made the right choice by taking a break.
Yeah. I remember in her post match news conference on Sunday, she says, "Well, I'm going to be flying out to LA tomorrow." And she might have felt that at the time. And I bet she got back to the hotel and said, "You know what? This is crazy. I can't keep doing this. My
Yeah.
body's going to break down."
Yeah, and sometimes, she might want to play because, of course,
Sure.
all of us want to play, and
Yep.
especially when we're playing well, but it might actually be her team. I'm not aware, but it could definitely be her coach or her physio saying, listen, like you need a break, you know?
Exactly. Vacation time. One more
Yeah.
thing about Nelly. The one thing I remember her saying on Sunday after she won, she said it was the most nervous round she ever played, and she got literally sick to her stomach. Has that ever happened to you where you were so nervous while you were playing?
Yeah, I think so. Definitely have. But if she did, I could not tell at all.
Exactly.
I don't think any of us could tell.
So, yeah, how
Yeah,
would you deal
sure.
with that?
It's such of a normal part of the game. For
Yeah,
me, it's definitely important to find ways to cope. And like I've mentioned, I work with Lynn and Pia with Vision 54, and they help a lot just by focusing on what you can control, by focusing on your breath and coming up with techniques that can help you when you feel really, really nervous. But yeah, all the time. I mean, for me, there have been times where I feel so nervous standing on the putting green and I felt like I could faint.
oh,
And
wow.
I think, the more you speak with the other players on tour, the more you realize like I'm not the only one. Actually, everyone gets nervous. Now, some people maybe a bit more than the others, but
Yes.
everybody gets nervous and it's just about finding a way to cope with it. And that feeling eventually goes away. The more you play, the better it'll get. But yeah, I mean, it just comes and goes. It's natural. We
Yeah.
work so hard, and of course we want to perform well, and that's majority of the time why we get so nervous. So it's
Sure.
understandable.
Yeah. We are with Lily He of the LPGA Tour. I'll steal your time for just a few more minutes here. I want to get a little more on your background. You're born in China, and
Mhm.
then you moved, I think it was what, 9 years old? You moved to Vancouver?
I was 7 or 8
Seven.
when I moved to
Okay.
Vancouver. Yeah.
Okay. And how
And
did you end up going Vancouver to San Diego and then LA?
yeah, so when I was in Canada, I lived in Vancouver, and although, it was golfable all year round, it was
Right.
still quite cold, especially in the
Yes.
winter. And then as I got older, it was very apparent that the best competitive golf for juniors were in the US. So in the summer, we would go over to play things like HHA or Callaway World Junior or US Kids. And then eventually, my family decided that it was the best choice for us to move to California. Um, the weather's good, and we had a few family friends that also had
Good.
kids my age that were competing as well. So it
Right.
made sense. And then
Yeah.
in California, or in San Diego, I went to high school at Torrey Pines High School, and I played AJJ growing up. And then I committed to USC actually quite young. So um, I believe it was freshman year of my high school. So uh, by the time junior year came around, my family and I decided to move to Los Angeles, a bit closer to USC.
Yes, that helps.
Yeah, and that's how we ended up here. And now it's very difficult to leave the
That's
California
great.
weather.
That's great. You're lucky to have parents though that are behind your golf all the way. Because a lot of times, no matter how good you are as a teenager, the parents just said, "Ah, it's only a phase." That kind. I mean, they knew how serious you were about it, right?
Yeah, for sure. But I typically find that sports parents, golf parents and just sports
Yes.
parents in general, it tends to be the opposite. Like if your kid is already competing at 5 years old, you know it's not just the kids, it's really a team effort and the parents are, behind the kids. And sometimes when I think back, you really need that because when you're 7, 8, 9, 10, even when you're a teenager, it's very hard to be disciplined and most of the times you don't know what you want, but it's
Right.
important to have parents that believe in you, that encourages you, that picks you back up when you're feeling down and doubting yourself. So I feel really lucky to have parents that push me along and encourage me to today.
That's great. And your dad is a restaurateur, is that true?
Yeah, but he's been retired for some
Oh, he's
time.
retired now. Because I was gonna say, let's go to whatever restaurant he's got at right now.
I know, no, that was honestly
Oh,
it's been a while, but yeah, back
okay,
then he used to be in the restaurant and hotel business. Yeah.
got it. Okay, so, uh, where do you tell your, favorite friends on the tour where to eat when they come to LA, speaking of restaurants?
Oh my gosh. I mean, if LA has the best Korean food. So
And close
yeah,
to Koreatown is Wilshire, right?
exactly. Wilshire is super close to Koreatown, so I would definitely recommend some good Korean barbecue and, Korean restaurants just in general. And we have so many Korean girls on tour, so I'm
Yes.
sure all of them are very happy with this week's location.
Okay, but, the last time I checked, you're not Korean, so what's your favorite Chinese restaurant? Because I need to go there.
In LA,
Yes.
there's a restaurant in Arcadia area called
Oh,
Chengdu Impression.
say that once again?
Called Chengdu, so that's the city where I was born in.
Oh,
Chengdu
nice.
Impression.
Okay,
I believe it's Michelin guided, but it's such of a good food. It's not like Michelin styled food, but they do very, very authentic but beautifully presented super
excellent.
food.
Excellent. So the next time I'm at the Santa Anita Racetrack in Arcadia, I'm going there for dinner. That's for sure.
Yeah, you'll have to. There's so much
Ab-
good food in LA.
exactly. And what other things? Any other places that you say you got to go here, you got to go there when you're in town? Because they're only here a couple times a year now.
Yeah, that's true. Well, so my family and I, since we live like a bit further north of LA,
Right.
um, there's a sushi spot in Calabasas called Shibuya.
Okay.
I hope I'm not. Yeah, it's already very hyped up. There's
Oh,
already
really?
Yeah, no matter if it's lunch or dinner, there's a line out the door for at least 30 minutes to 2 hours sometimes. It's
Right.
a tiny
Wow.
little place, but the sushi is so good and so fresh. And I mean, I and when I come back home, I have to go. I drag my mom and we have to go like at least once a week.
Even with the wait.
Even with the way, yeah.
All right. Well, that's impressive.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got three top tens. Is that correct on the LPGA tour?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, so what
Uh,
is it gonna take to get that W for you? What is missing that's gonna be the difference, do you think?
um Well, they say it only really takes one good week of golf. And
That's
I
true.
think what I need is 4 consistent days of golf. I think there have been many, many times where I've had 3 good days and I needed was just that one more. So I think just keep on working at it, building on places where I need to, and keeping my head down. And yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, it's definitely the ultimate goal of mine is to win on tour.
Right. Just think about if you could win at Wilshire Country Club, how amazing would that be?
Oh my gosh, that'd be incredible. I mean, everyone's dream to be able to win in their home in their home city.
Right.
And I feel like I've lived in LA now for 10 years or almost 10 years and know so many great members at Wilshire and with JM Eagle supporting me this week, it would definitely be a dream come true.
How about what they have done, the Wangs there at Wilshire, to up the ante for the entire purse? It is now more than a $500,000 for the winner. When
Yeah.
it was only 6 years ago, it was half of it. It was 225,000, I believe.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible. I mean, when you hear their stories and why they started sponsoring the tournament, it's just really impressive. And I know all of us players are incredibly thankful for them. They've really
Yeah.
taken our regular events to a whole new level. Um, and with this year upping the purse and providing us with free hotels and things like transportation and all these like benefits for the players, it really feels like we're being heard and it really feels like this is that that it's helping the LPGA to head towards the right direction. And I know all of us players are extremely grateful for sponsors like JM Eagle.
Right. I came up with an idea and I mentioned it to the tournament PR folk that I thought it would be great if the Southern California girls, whether it was you went to school here or you live here or you're from here, if you had a little side bet almost and you get a special perk, the ones who wins either this tournament or both this one and Palos Verdes get like a Hollywood star, like the star in the Walk of Fame. And maybe, I don't know if they can throw in a car or something. Wouldn't that be great to be able to play for something and have bragging rights?
Yeah, for sure. I know every year when we play this event, I always see on social media that USC and UCLA have a
That
little bet going
exactly.
on. Yeah,
Right.
it's so cool. Like this week, I believe we have 9 girls from USC in the field.
Yep. Yep.
I'm not sure how many from UCLA, but that's quite a lot.
It
And
really is.
it's just, it's such of a great place for golf and the rivalry still continues on after college. It never leaves you.
That's awesome. So, what happens if the W comes this week? Do you take like a month off and just travel the world and laugh?
Um, I don't know. I think my schedule would pretty much stay the same. I think
Okay.
we'll be able to play and I can definitely pick and choose my schedule a bit more, which will be really nice.
Right.
Because obviously when you're trying to climb up the rankings and collect those points, it's important to play as much as you can. So
Yeah.
um that would be very nice. Regardless, it's just a dream of mine. Doesn't matter if it's this week or
Of course.
this year or next year or whenever, I will continue to work hard and hopefully get there.
And with the Olympics this year, do you have a chance to play for China?
Um, Well, I think 3 years ago that was my goal, and it has been my goal this entire time. But
Right.
recently in the past last year, we've had so many incredible golfers come out from China. So we have a few more um, golfers on tour that are Chinese. So I'm not exactly sure my ranking, but I think I'm missing out just by a spot or two. So
Okay. So, hey, well, that's what a win would do, though, right?
yeah, exactly. There's still a chance, of course. And then, if not this year, in 4 years, it's back in LA. So
That's
wouldn't
true.
that be something? Yeah.
Wow, that is awesome. That is great. By the way, Shan Shan did pretty well, right? The last time.
Yeah, I know. The very first Olympic Games for golf, and she did so good. And
Yeah.
I think China, we're a country that takes a lot of pride in winning Olympic medals. So what she did with all that pressure, it's really, really incredible. She's such of a role model, like for me, ever since I was young.
Nice.
She was like the
Nice.
big sister for all of us.
Oh, that is so great. And
Yeah.
I got to show you this picture here.
Oh my
She
God.
she had a hole in one in our pro-am round.
Oh
It's
my
the only
God.
time I've ever been in the same group with a hole in one. And then I saw her a few years later at Wilshire, and there we are. And she remembered, and that she's wearing the mask there, of course. That was a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Uh, and she said she's never had another one since.
No way.
How many have you had?
You were her lucky team player.
Well, I'm trying to be lucky for you too.
Yeah, I think so. I've had I think six. Yeah, but they do come in groups, don't they? They tend to.
Six, though.
Yeah,
That's
I
incredible.
think I had my first three all in the same year.
Wow. If you could only get six in the same week, that would be a whole different story.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope, you can win with six hole-in-ones. It would
Yeah,
be a bit
exactly.
surprising if you didn't win with six hole-in-ones in 1 week.
Exactly. So, how was your pro-am today?
Oh, it was so great. Yeah, I actually played with four players, and they were all Taiwanese or Taipei from Taipei, and
Okay.
they could speak Chinese and English, so it felt very, very familiar. And it's a small world. People who golf know other golfers, so we had a lot of mutual friends, and yeah, they were all so nice. Yeah,
Oh,
I feel like I've never played with a bad pro-am partner ever in my LPGA career.
yeah, it's pretty fun time though.
Yeah,
You played 9, right? You don't have to play 18.
yeah, yeah, just nine, just the
That's
back.
good. That's good. Any well-known names that we would know of that you saw out there today? Because a lot of times there's some pretty impressive people that show up at Wilshire.
I know. I don't believe so this year. I mean,
Oh,
I
okay.
haven't really been on social media too much today, but not that I'm aware of. But you're right. I think 1 year we had like Chris Pratt or someone.
Right.
Yeah, and just it's
Yeah, he's
Hollywood.
played a couple times, I think.
Yeah, it's Hollywood. But
Exactly.
yeah, no,
LPGA goes Hollywood, right?
I know. I love the little Hollywood sign next to the putting green. It's so nice.
Yeah, it's
It's very
great.
cute.
And finally, so if whatever happens this week, you got so much to play for, right? I
Hmm.
mean, not just for the money, but now if you can get into the top tens again, you want to get those rankings up,
Hmm.
and it's going to give you what, like an unlimited amount of opportunities to win.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, there are plenty of opportunities throughout the year, but it's definitely important to get some good scores out earlier on in the year. I think that's the bit where I've struggled with, it seems like these past few years, is
Yeah,
I always would have a better second half of the year, a lot of, you know, majority of the cuts made, a lot of top 20s, top 10s, but towards the beginning of the year, I always tend to start off a bit slow. So, and it has hurt me like throughout the year. So it's
really.
definitely important to get a few low scores out at the beginning of the year. So hopefully this week, fingers crossed.
That would be great.
Yeah.
And you got to tell us something about your social media stuff that you do. I think I saw over 800,000
Mhm.
followers on Instagram. You need to teach me how to do that, please.
Yeah. Yeah. Social media. I mean, it's such a big part of our lives nowadays.
Yeah,
Not just as like but really as athletes as well. It's a great way to connect with your fans, and it's been so much fun. I mean, the amount of messages that I get in my DMs from young girls, or like girls my age, saying, "Oh, I picked up golf because of you. You've inspired
nice.
me to pick up the game." And that's something that's really just makes me happy. It's something I
Good.
think makes it all really worth it. Yeah, it's great. It's definitely was something I've never planned and never expected, but I feel like it's definitely rewarding, and it helps. It helps definitely in golf.
Excellent. I'm going to put on the JM hat here and promote the tournament a little bit.
Right.
Where can we find you on social media? Instagram, where else? Give us the addresses.
I just really only have Instagram.
Oh, that's it now. Okay.
Yeah, it's Ad Lily MHE. It's a lot to handle, so I cannot imagine us having a Twitter or YouTube or anything like that. I also have TikTok, but my TikTok tends to be a bit more like casual, a lot of, not just like golf posts, or not just a lot of the posts don't really make sense. It's just I put whatever on there.
Yeah,
So
you're
yeah,
having fun, right? That's all.
exactly. So everything is Ad Lily MHE.
Yeah, we just need one where you're holding up the trophy. That's the one that
I
that's got to be
know.
your poster. right?
Oh, it would be my profile pic, my new profile pic.
For not for new, it'd be forever.
Yeah, exactly.
Lily,
No,
I
but that
really
day was
appreciate.
fun. Yeah.
You're going to win. I know you're going to win soon. If people just check her out online, she has a gorgeous swing, and it's just a matter, as you say, it's hard to put together 4 straight great rounds, but there's
Yeah,
no reason why you can't do it, and why not this week?
exactly. Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
It's my pleasure, and I'll see you out there tomorrow afternoon. I'll be there rooting you on.
Okay, perfect. I'll see you out there tomorrow then. Thank
Okay,
you.
have a great tournament. Thanks for joining us, everybody, on Touching Greatness. That's Lily He, the one and only. She's going to win soon. I know it. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
All righty.
Bye.